It's been fantastic. I've had these groups of people coming in from every country in the world and presenting their scheme, and they're quite serious about what they're presenting, and some of them are quite nervous, which is surprising. Even some of the named people are fairly nervous presenting to us, and so that's the value they're putting on winning at WAF. And to sit there and have them present their inner thoughts and their dreams to you as buildings, it's just wonderful. Today I judged in front of about 100 people who started flooding in because Bark Ingle was there, and Bentadetta Tugliaboo and Foster's, and these are people that are presenting to us, and I had a good 5 minutes of questioning them at the end of their presentations, and very valuable buildings they're showing us, value to them and value to their cities, and to be discussing them at a peer-to-peer level was just a great experience. Well, when we're judging these, sometimes something leaps out and demands to be the winner, and that didn't happen this year. We had just about a dead heat in a couple of different ones, and what that does as a group of judges is brings out a really intense thinking process, and the good thing about it, in a sort of a democratic thought process, everyone's thoughts are allowed in, and we eventually come to consensus. But you get to quite a deep level of architectural thinking, social thinking, and just sustainability thinking, and that's the joy of it, really. You go into a deeper level of discussion of architecture. Well, for an architect being at a festival like this, there's so much going on. It's like being in a candy store. You're after, shall we go to that one, shall we go to that one? And there's a couple of themes coming out which I find really important. Sustainability has become entrenched in almost everything that's being presented. One, yesterday I asked about the sustainability objectives and result, and they didn't have an answer, and I saw eyes rolling in the room. We've reached a stage now where that is just expected to be excellent. So that's been coming out. Urban design, we're thinking about a whole lot more. We're turning cities into places where the structure of the urbanity and the ecology are becoming more equal. So there's a change in the world of architecture, and it's being reflected in WAF today for sure. Well, the WAF experience for us, coming from Australia and meeting our friends from all around the world who are doing the same thing we're doing, it's like getting back together with friends and seeing, what have you been up to this year, what have you been up to this year, and having those sort of discussions that you get past the social friendly scene and start to talk seriously about architecture and start to say where we're going to be in the future. And these people then leave Barcelona and go back to their cities and start to change their cities as well over the next couple of years. And it's that dialogue face to face with people who are doing amazing things that makes this one of the most important things in architecture that happens each year. I'm working on a ream of exciting projects at the moment, including the design of whole cities where ecology and urbanity and culture and all those things are taking a different level of importance, and those things, cities are now changing dramatically how they are because of the weight we put on different things. And from that to a new building in Antarctica, to the design of a boat, to the design of a whole lot of student housing, to design of sports buildings. In Australia right now, we've come out of the GFC and it's going off like skyrockets. Every time I pick up the phone there's another interesting project, and we're, believe it or not, as architects coming out of the GFC having a whole lot of fun. Last year I came here with a small project that I'd thought about a lot and I'd worked very hard on, but I came and also sat in and watched all the other sports category shortlist people putting them in, and they were remarkably good projects, and mostly more like 200 million instead of my 2 million project. So by the end of the presentations I thought I had absolutely no hope of winning this. But at WAF you never know the level of discussion that's happening, and in the plenary session when it's announced who the winners are, I just saw my name on the board and didn't believe it. Then things started happening almost immediately. I was asked to be outside the hotel within 15 minutes. We were whisked off to I don't know where, and we rolled up to the Barcelona Pavilion by Mies van der Rohe, that iconic building, and believe it or not, they'd set it up for a dinner for the winners. It was during the entree that the first radio call came from Australia, and I actually sat out the back on the grass at the back of the Barcelona Pavilion and did a live radio interview with the ABC Broadcasting Corporation in Australia. And that started 3 days and nights of interest. How did WAF generate that sort of interest? It was like a David and Goliath thing. The little Berry Sports Hall had beaten Wimbledon, had beaten the New York Jets, and so it was broadcast on the national television news. And they asked me to get a camera to the Barcelona pavilion, but I couldn't do it, so they used a photograph. The national television news asked me to find a cameraman at 1 o'clock in the morning by now, and failing that, even though the WAF staff tried very hard, they used a single picture and put it on for 60 seconds on the national news that this building had won. We then travelled up to Paris and still had phone calls, so I was outside the Pantheon early in the morning, because that's Australian time, talking live to the radio. So just a wonderful result of being here. And then in the following 6 months, with contact with lots of media, the building was published over 120 times, and the culmination of it was really when the WAF people rang up and said, would I like to come back as a judge? And that's a wonderful privilege to then be on the other side of the fence and be able to look at these buildings that are being brought forward this year.